This is the case of Yoon, a 25-year-old actress and TikToker with over 300,000 followers who was tragically murdered by her own influencer manager. Also a man who was one of her top donors on TikTok. Her story is a chilling reminder of how dangerous the fast-growing influencer industry can be when boundaries and protections are ignored. It highlights the red flags that so many creators overlook, from manipulative contracts to deceptive partnerships that blur the line between business and exploitation. I personally relate to this story because having experienced a similar betrayal from my former manager, which has been one of the hardest journeys to overcome, but I am here to share how to protect yourself, what happened to me, especially if you're an aspiring influencer creator or if you're online in general, what you need to look out for in contracts and business deals, okay? And even if you don't have any interest in becoming an influencer, as long as you're online or you have an online business, you need to protect yourself because stuff like this happens all the time. And I really want to write a book about it because at this point, I'm a very skilled, very knowledgeable person when it comes to contracts, lawsuits in the entertainment world and in the influencer agency. By the way, I know you can't tell, but I am a little bit sick today. I literally woke up in hives in the middle of the night. Last night, I woke up in the middle of the night with my entire body red and I was like, what the heck is going on? But I woke up and I went to the urgent care and the doctors there, they just look at you for 20 seconds. They prescribed me and they just left. And I was like, hello. So I called my primary care physician. I haven't been there in like 5 years and I want to get some blood work done, something. And they told me that the wait is 3 months. I was like, is this the healthcare world right now? Oh my God. But thank God I know something called ZocDoc. And this is a great tip for you guys if you're trying to get an appointment with doctors and they tell you the wait is like 3 to 6 months. ZocDoc is a free website where you can search and compare high quality in-network doctors. And yes, ZocDoc has been a kind sponsor of GRAZY TV. So in my last video, I talked about them and I had no idea that this will come in so handy. And they have doctor appointments that are usually available that day or 24 to 72 hours, okay? So I went on ZocDoc and I searched for an allergist just to get it tested. Literally, I have a doctor's appointment at 11:30. The booking on ZocDoc literally took me like 1 minute compared to when I called my physicians. It literally took me 15 minutes for them to sign me up. You can easily filter the doctors by location, insurance, specialties. Go to ZocDoc.com/GRAZYTV so that you can book a top-rated doctor today. Thank you so much to ZocDoc and let's get back to the video. So this is Yoon. She's 25 years old and she was an actress in training. And a lot of people who are actress in training or people who want to become famous on their road to become an actress or a singer, a K-pop idol, a lot of them will actually start off on social media to get their name out there, which is very common. You see a lot of singers upload cover songs or, do lives to get a fan or following in hopes that, it will be easier for them to enter a really good agency or a management in hopes that they will be able to sign and get a contract, get a deal, be on TV, have her first drama role. Chia, you could see, was such a beautiful, beautiful woman and she lived alone. And she liked to do something called live broadcasting, a TikTok live broadcasting, which has become such a big thing in South Korea. Her account was able to grow to over 300,000 followers, which is a lot. And a lot of the times, people on TikTok are able to make a lot of money by going on lives. I'm sure you guys have all seen TikTok live before, but there are certain fans that come to watch her show every single day, especially if you have like a set schedule and they're able to send you gifts. You see people sending those like flowers or whatever it may be, and all of that equals to a certain amount of money. So in order for you to have a lot of donators, you're supposed to do a lot of gestures or whatever the live chat wants you to do in order for them to donate. Tia went on live almost every single day, and here are the Kakao Talk messages between her and her father, and you can see that her father was very supportive of what she was doing. He would send, screen captures of him watching her live and being like, hey daughter, like rooting for you and showing her support. Until the last message from Tia to her father was on September 10th, 2025. Her father sent few messages and she wasn't responding, and he sent another message again saying the most beautiful bunny in the world. And 7 hours later she responded meaning yes, in a cute way, but it's very short. Kind of seemed cold, but Sometimes I'm kind of really cold to my parents too whenever I'm sending them messages. So from then on, any contact from Gia stopped on the 12th, and her family reported her missing right away because they knew that this was unlike her. They always kept in contact with her and they were always able to see her lives. Shortly after her missing report, police were able to gather the CCTV footages from her last known location and saw that she got into a white car. There's cameras everywhere in South Korea, okay? So they were able to track the plate number of this car, and eventually it led them to a rural area. And that's where she was found unalived inside of the woods. We will get more into the details of what happened to her, but her autopsy showed that she was strangled. 12 hours since the missing report, the police was able to find the suspect. This is Choi. He is a man in his 50s, a 54-year-old man who was well known in the influencer industry for having his own influencer management company. So how does a man in his 50s relate to a young woman in her 20s, and what happened, and what is the relationship between the two? One day, Chia was doing her usual live broadcasting, and there is a username that pops up, and his name is Black Cat. Now, Black Cat came to watch her live religiously, and eventually, he started to donate thousands of dollars to her in these TikTok lives. Now on TikTok, people who watch your lives religiously and also send you gifts, there is a ranking of your top followers. Now apparently Black Cat was #1 ranking in her viewership. Not only that, which this part I didn't know, but as a TikTok donator or viewer, there's ranking in that as well, and he was level 46, meaning the higher the number, the more you've donated in your lifetime using that account. So people say that if you're at level 46, he had to donate over 1억, or about $70,000. And for example, level 50 are people who have spent over 100K donating, which is crazy. Now, Black Cat was known as a VIP viewer, not only for Gia, but for a few other influencers. When he'd come up in your chats, these influencers would love it because he's the one donating thousands of dollars each time you're on. So in these cases, a lot of the influencers will treat these VIPs by one-on-one chat with them. So they would give them their, Kakao ID and be like, hey, you can contact me one-on-one. I heard success stories when it comes to something like this. It's not always creepy, but a lot of the times it could be. There's one influencer who came across Black Cat where he was donating thousands of dollars to her. And in this one-on-one chat, she would ask him, what do you do? How are you able to spend so much money? And Black Cat would respond saying, I have my own business. I own an IT and a travel business. This is where the manipulation would start. Police was able to track back and look back at the CCTV footages inside of her apartment, Chia's apartment. So on September 10th, CCTV footage shows that Chia was on her apartment ground floor, and you see her with Mr. Choi. He approaches her and she takes a few steps back, almost like she's in fear. And then you see Mr. Choi go on his knees. What? A 50-something-year-old man going on his knees for this 25-year-old. That's so creepy. Then he tries to take her phone. Now, people suspected an odd relation, maybe it's like a sugar daddy kind of thing, but her friends and her family swear that Chia is not like that. She's very against, using sexual favors to get ahead in career, and, her friends would definitely know something happened. But her friends and family did know that Mr. Choi and Chia was working together under his influencer management. So other influencers came forward when the story went viral, and they claimed that they had a similar story where Mr. Choi would come into their life, spend thousands of dollars. He was a VIP, so they would exchange phone numbers and chat one-on-one, and that he would approach them saying that, hey, I have an influencer agency. Would you like to join? It's a new company, so if you help out, we'll, give you a lot of the profits. I can make you gain a lot more followers quickly because I am an influencer agency mastermind, and I know how to do this. So just like that, several influencers, including Chia, joined this shady management. Now, once she joined this one-man agency, it started to get really weird and creepy and stalking. Now, he would tell her, okay, from now on, we need to have a plan. You need to go live every single day around the same time, and you need to start doing 6-hour lives. So every day she would go live with a 30-minute break in between for 6 hours. From then on, she would gradually increase the amount of lives, not because she wanted to, but because Choi told her to, that this was the only way to gain a lot of following and money. Then he would surveillance every second of the live and start commenting and giving her critiques and rules to follow. For example, he says, don't look at the screen when singing. Don't focus on one viewer so much. Your singing sucks. Stop responding to questions so much. Smile on this cue. Do this and do that. And if she did not do or follow what he said, he would have these anger outbursts. So I forgot to mention how these influencer agencies work is that they say that, hey, you are an influencer under my agency. So in case any sponsorships come or anything you make on live, I will take industry standard about 20% since I helped you build up and things like that. So if you get $1,000 a month, that 20% goes to the agency, and that's just usually how it works. And the most creepy part is that Chia's friends say that Choi made Chia download a location app where he would see every move of where she was, especially when she was not on live. So her friend says that she met up with Chia for coffee during her free time, and during that time, her phone vibrated 30 times. Mass text from Choi. These creepy texts from Choi demand Chia to turn on her location app. And when her location app would be off, he would reply, what are you doing? Who are you with? What are you guys talking about? Why aren't you having the location app on? That is so creepy. Oh my gosh. And obviously Chia would be like, this is stepping. This is over boundaries. I mean, just because you're my manager, like, why do you need to know where I am at all times? And Choi would respond, I'm spending all my time out of my day to care about you, your career. I watched 12 hours of your lives to make sure you succeed. Why are you not understanding where I'm coming from? I think of you like a daughter. And her friends say that she would fight with her manager Choi all the time about this. The fact that he was overstepping the boundaries and being extremely unprofessional and pretty much like a creepy stalker. You could just tell Choi wanted to own Chia. This was not a father-daughter thing, okay? This was extremely narcissist, manipulative, gaslighting, with just wanting to control his influencer like a pet. This isn't even business anymore. So who is Mr. Choi? Is this even a wealthy businessman? And even if he was, is going through all of this even worth it, right? So come to find out, Mr. Choi is not a wealthy businessman, actually very far from it. He's actually a broke guy who stole money from his father to live in his new apartment, and actually he couldn't even pay rent. So apparently he put a down payment in this apartment for $10,000 that wasn't even his money, and his rent was about 80만 won, so around $600, $700 a month, and even on rent he fell behind. He was a broke man in hundreds of $1,000 of debt, according to the police. And interesting enough, on September 11th, the day that Chia disappeared, police found that that was the day his apartment was to go on auction and that he was gonna get kicked out. On top of that, September 11th was the day when Chia finally told her manager Choi, I can't do this anymore. Let's separate, meaning their business. He would reply, you want to get rid of me? Don't. Chia, I'm going to do the lives alone from now on. And that is the CCTV footage where we see him coming to her apartment and begging on the floor because she wanted to leave. Not only that, come to find out, a year prior, Choi was arrested for physically assaulting another influencer that was under his fraud management. And he was actually going through a police investigation. And in the middle of the police investigation and the trial, he ended up murdering Chia. This is where we go back to that CCTV footage on September 11th where Chia is seen going inside of Choi's car. Now, what kind of conversation went down there, I'm not sure. Chia was a very nice woman, and I'm sure Chia was trying to get out of this with a nice conversation by doing what Choi wanted at the time. And inside of the car, that is where Choi hit her multiple times and strangled her. And she passed away around 3:27 p.m., only 30 minutes since she ended her live broadcasting. Mr. Choi would then head back to his house, and around 10 p.m., he would get out a luggage from his house. He headed to a few different spots driving around. Eventually, he arrived at a secluded area in Buju, quite a far drive from the original place where he left, and disposed the body there. Not even in like the deep woods at all, like an open field where anybody honestly can see. The funny thing is, karma came to bite his butt right away, because as he was trying to flee the scene, now this road is like very secluded, so the road it's not nice. So there was a little bit of a ditch, and he fell into the ditch. The car literally fell in. And that was all around the time when the police was looking for Tia, as her family reported her missing. And that's when the car went head to head with the police. The police was able to find him fleeing the scene and trying to get his car out of the ditch. During the interrogation, he of course lied and tried to manipulate the police, which didn't work. And everything he said out of his mouth was a lie. A lot of people might wonder why someone like Tia would give a man like this multiple chances after being so creepy and stalking her and things like that. But psychologists and professionals say they believe that this manipulation tactic not only worked, I wouldn't say it prolonged, because Tia was trying to get free, because she really cared about her career. She wanted to be an actress. She wanted to get her name out there. She was in a position not of desperation, but with ambitions, which can lead you into getting into business with the wrong people, claiming that they're going to help you. So even when you see the red flags and you try to cut it off with this person, they will manipulate you by saying, if you give up now, everything that we did together will go into bubbles. It means nothing, or you will not be famous without me. And make you feel guilty and have a sense of duty, like I have to do this. So people like Choi use young victims' dreams to feed his ego and greed. If this is your first time going through something like this, it is not easy to try and get out of a business deal where the other partner is being extremely manipulative, been lying to you all the time, and make you stay chained and fear tactic of, I'm going to sue you, or I'm not going to give you your money back, or I'm going to make you blacklisted in this influencer or in the entertainment industry that you want to go in. You think I don't know people? So RIP, rest in peace to Miss Tia. There were so many shady scam agencies, managements out there, and I've been through it personally, which is why this story hits me really hard. I had a huge lawsuit that I went through in South Korea with my old agency a few years back. And more recently, I was working with a manager where we got into a tanglement of personal and business, and he ended up losing a lot of my money. I will get into details in the future. So I had to literally get back on my feet this year, 2025, on my own. I had to fix all that tax stuff, the financial stuff, and I felt like I was starting over again. Even though I thought I was educated enough to not ever go through something like this after going through the lawsuit in South Korea a few years ago. And obviously I was repeating my mistakes. And looking back, it is when the boundaries are crossed and when you see the first sign of red flag when it comes to business relationships, or even personal, you call it out. You tell them, hey, ask them any questions. You see something shady, you call it out and you fix it right on spot. If not, you leave. Now, some of the very important tips when it comes to signing contract, especially in this world that I want to give, is that number one, there's a lot of sneaky clauses in influencer, singer, actress contracts. And there's a lot of these clauses where it will roll over automatically. You have to be careful with those. So you might be contracted to a company only 2 years, yet it will roll over if you don't have like a written agreement, or if you don't notify them within the 30 days. Like, they make it very sneaky. So make sure that you take those clauses out and say that if we do want to sign, an extra year or two, you will have to notify me first. Like, put those clauses in there and don't be afraid to rewrite the contract for them. Number two, you have to use your common sense. If you feel like this manager or any employees are contacting you outside of like normal work times, which I get in influencer industry, you kind of work 24/7, but especially like in case of Tia, where he's obviously overstepping his boundaries, where he's contacting her when she's with her friends at a cafe and blowing her phone up. That is weird and odd. Make sure that you have a clear boundary between work and personal Okay. Number 3, make sure you do your research on the company, the agency, the manager, especially when it comes to one-on-one managers. It might be a little bit tricky because you just have to believe their words on what they have done before. And even if they provide all the paper proof or whatever that they've done this and that, at the end of the day, do your due diligence check. Okay. Because anyone can say anything and present you anything. Call up the person that they've worked with and say, hey, I'm doing a due diligence call. Do you refer this person? Is there anything that happened that you can let me know? Like in Chia's case, like if she had known that he has physically assaulted other influencers, would she have worked with him? He was still able to work with influencers even though he was under police investigation. Okay, something like this happened. Let it known to the world. Let it be known to the world so other people don't fall victims. So don't be afraid to speak up. Let me know what you guys have thought about today's episode. Thank you so much to ZocDoc for sponsoring today's video. I hope I get better. I still feel pretty swollen, and see you guys in the next case.